Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel, The College Process. Once again, my name is Ed Zamora from Principia Prep. Today we're going to be going over the college admissions bias, how college admissions is both fair and unfair at the same time. But before we begin, if you are new to the channel and are looking for additional college content, please hit the subscription button down below. It will notify you when new videos do come out. And also, if you have any questions on today's video or any of the videos here on the channel, very simple, leave your questions down below in the comment section because of the fact that many of you already know, every Friday I take all the questions you guys have here on YouTube, put them into video format, answer them, and then put that video back on YouTube so that way everyone has detailed answers. And in addition to that, we are still running once again the James Russell Memorial Scholarship, our organization scholarship program for your seniors graduating going off to college. Down below in the description is the link for the James Russell Memorial Scholarship video explaining how our scholarship program works here at Principia. As well as also in the description down below is also our organization's Venmo, as well as for buy us a coffee if you want to help support your channel, allowing us to keep making these college videos for you guys out there. And all that being said, let's jump right into today's video, the college admissions bias. How college admissions is both fair and unfair at the same time. Now, some of you out there might be thinking, well, Ed, how can admissions both be fair and unfair at the same time? And the answer is basically pretty simple. It all comes down to what group you're in when you're applying to a college, essentially what admissions group you're in applying to a college, whether the college admissions is going to be fair for you or it's going to be unfair for you. Because the reality is all the groups are all fighting for the same spots, whether you're legacy admissions, an athlete, family of influence, whether you're just a normal student, whether you're a first generation, whether you're a valedictorian, whether you're a painter, whether you're an artist, whether you're an engineer. All these different things add to the fact that whether the admissions is going to be fair to you or unfair to you. And some will have a fair shake and some won't, unfortunately. Now, right off the bat, let's jump right into one of the big things happening nowadays, things people are talking about. If you are a family of someone who has attended the college before, a parent, a sibling, a grandparent, an uncle, an aunt, essentially, that's a definition of legacy admission. Now, legacy admissions does help at a lot of colleges. Also, what also does help is if you're an athlete, regardless if it's Division I, Division II, or Division III. And also on top of those two factors, if you are a family of influence, celebrity, fame, wealth, politics, these kind of things, all these things help because of the fact that if you are one of these three groups, in many cases, then you do have a leg up on everyone else. Especially at colleges that have a 10% acceptance rate or less, this is not going to be a fair situation. These groups will have a better chance of getting in than every other student looking to apply to those colleges. I'm not trying to be the sender of bad news, unfortunately, but this is in the news. A lot of people talking about legacy admissions and so on and so forth and how it's unfair and how colleges should get rid of it and the fact that they're hoping and wishing they do get rid of the legacy policies at a lot of these colleges. But as being a college advisor for 25 years, without hesitation, I can tell you right now, they're never going to get rid of a legacy admissions. It's just not going to happen, unfortunately. Even if they come out and say in the news for good PR, they're considering getting rid of it, or they do get rid of it, they're going to find the colleges themselves a loophole, a way around it, where they can still keep doing what they're doing right now as far as admitting the groups that they want first, and then looking at everybody else. And you've been wondering, well, why would they go against themselves if they got rid of legacy admissions? And the answer is pretty simple. You see, the colleges are all essentially in a collegiate arms race against each other for talent, for prestige, for money. Who has the best internships? Who has the best majors? Who has the best facilities? Who has the best professors? Who's got the best dorm rooms? Who's got the best activities? This is all an arms race between all the different colleges to get to the top to basically beat everybody else. And this race to the top, by the way, has been going on for years and years and years. So, in the college's perspective, in their eyes, if I can get a family of means, and yes, when I mean family of means, I mean in many cases a legacy family, because good, bad, or indifferent, just stating facts here. When we're talking about legacy families, in many cases, especially when we're talking about the top tier schools, 10% acceptance rate or less, even 15% or 20% acceptance rate in many cases, these families come from means, which means they're able to provide the college with donations, they're able to provide the college with continuing legacy of every grandchild coming in is going to be going to that college, which means more tuition for that school. And those watching might be thinking, well, this isn't fair. Why is it always about money? Why is it always about prestige and these kind of things? My students done well academically. They should have a fair shot as well. The reality is, good, bad, or indifferent, admissions for the normal student, let's call it, has never been fair. It never will be fair. I talk about this in many of my videos. And the reason why is because most families don't look at the admissions as the highest end schools in the proper light. You guys look at it from the perspective of, my student has good academics, they have a good profile, good resume, they should get in, they should get a fair shake. It's really not the way it works because you're looking at it from the wrong perspective. Believe it or not, when it comes to the higher end schools, the academic portion of this, the resume portion in some cases, isn't really a factor. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. You should really look at the higher end schools as kind of like you're going on and flying on an airplane. When you're flying on an airplane, if you're looking at the airplane, obviously the different sections. Of the different sections, you have first class, you have business class, then you have economy. And by the way, the breakdown I'm about to give you is not to say that one student is better than another or one student is lesser than another because there's not enough money involved, that kind of thing. I'm just giving you the proper perspective that you should be thinking about when you're looking at the highest level schools. Now, when we're talking about first class, we're talking about essentially legacy admissions, large donors, and families of influence. The reason I say that is because these people have a generational line of people going to school. So every couple of decades or so, every decade or so, they know they're going to get a student from this family, i.e. they get more revenue coming in. If it's a large donor, obviously a large donor helps the college by allowing them to keep increasing their endowment, allowing them to keep up with the arms race of all the other colleges. And then when you have a family of influence, think politics, fame, celebrity, it brings notoriety to that college. It brings them free notoriety to that college. So it helps increase applications, i.e. more revenue. This most of the time really now comes down to who can give them more money. Now you might be thinking, well, my student is a top tier student, they're the valedictorian, or they have the perfect SAT score. They should be valued in first class as well, but they're not. From this perspective, every student applying to a top tier school, top 10% or less acceptance rate, top 15 or 20% acceptance rate in many cases, has all the APs, all the IBs. They have the 4.0s. They have 1,500 plus SATs, 34 ACT or above. So you guys are all competing with the same academic profile. So this is why I'm saying that student is not in the first class seat, believe it or not. I know it sounds crazy, but it's just the reality of admissions. Now let's talk about the second portion of the plane, the business seating. Now when it comes to business class, you have to think about this as these are typically the athletes or the musicians. Something the school wants there to bring notoriety, to also bring in revenue. Now whether you're D1, D2, D3, whether you play a certain instrument or a great painter, so on and so forth, these people here are also sought after by the college. These people here, since they're sought after by the college, will also be looked upon as a higher seat than the economy seat, which I'll talk about in a moment. The reason they're sought after as well, and they're going to give a better chance of getting accepted, i.e. especially the athletes, because these guys and girls will automatically get in as long as their academics are even close to the requirement. Where most students, if their academics were close to the requirement for the highest tier schools, would not get in. To give you an example, I've been doing this 25 years. I've seen athletes get into the Ivy Leagues with ACT scores of 27, 28. They wouldn't even look at a normal student unless their ACT score was at least at a 33 or higher. I've also seen the same situation in the SATs with higher level schools where they let students in with the average SATs 1,520, 1,530, let them in with SAT scores of 1,400, 1410, which would never happen for a normal student, to be honest with you. So that's why I put them in the business class of the plane, because they don't have a large revenue they brought in before. They do have some distinction, obviously, and they will bring in notoriety to the college, which helps bring in revenue. But the reality is the first classes have already been paying for a very long time, or can bring a lot of notoriety. Where the next level, maybe they'll bring in a lot of notoriety, maybe they'll bring a little bit, but the revenue they bring in going forward will be very helpful. And the college wants this there because they want to be able to show prestige. It helps them if they win football games. It helps them if they win basketball games. Even if the program is terrible, if they have a good sports program and they've never done anything other than win a couple games, but they always beat their rival, Harvard versus Yale, Boston College versus BU, Alabama versus Auburn situation, if they always beat their rival, then yeah, they're going to seek these athletes because it's going to help them keep competing at a high level, once again, winning the arms race of academia. So that being said, let's talk about the last class, the economy. The economy is basically every single seat left in the plane. Whether you're the valedictorian, whether you're a top 10% of graduating class, whether you have a 15 plus 100 SAT, or whether you're academically extremely strong, or whether you're just an average student for that college, you're all fighting for the same economy seat. Now yes, the valedictorian is going to have a better shot at getting that economy seat than the student who took less APs or IB courses, or didn't take any dual credit courses, or has a 3.4 GPA versus their 4.0 out of a 4-point scale. So yes, the valedictorian will have a better shot at getting that economy seat. But the reality is that economy seat is still going to be looked upon the same way for every student you're competing against, whether the valedictorian or not. You're never going to have a leg up on first class or business class. It's just not the way the system works in the world of admissions, because of the fact that, once again, the academics are not what gets you into the college. The academics is typically from the get-go, which allows your application to be open and even reviewed for a chance to be accepted. That's the way you need to think about it. If you think from the perspective that my student has high academics, they're definitely going to get in, you're thinking incorrectly. You need to think from the perspective that my student has high academics, they have a chance to get on that plane. You've already lost spots to the first class and the business class. And once again, I'm not saying this is to show that your student is lesser than the other students. It's not the way this works. It's not about a fair system of less or better or grades or so on and so forth. And if you don't believe me, it's very simple. You can look it up. In the news, it just came out that 3 prominent California schools let in legacy students that were below the average of acceptance students' requirements. GPA, test scores, etc. 3 schools in California. Legacy admissions was the key to get that student in there when they knew their academics were not at par with everybody else. It happens every year. If you're a celebrity, you're very likely going to get into a college above somebody whose academic profile is way better than you. If you're a strong athlete and they want you at the school, you're going to get into that school above the valedictorian, above the 10th ranked student, above the 15th or 20th ranked student at a high school. Even if they have perfect SATs and ACT scores, even if they have 20 APs, they're going to get in before that student. It's just the way the system works, unfortunately. So the reality is the only way of making this somewhat fair for the normal student is if you do early decision, or if you do restricted early action. Unless you're doing one of those two things to basically say to the college that, yes, I want that limited economic seat so bad that I'm willing to lock in my spot. Other than that, admissions will never be fair, unfortunately. There will be, unfortunately, a deficit here, and you guys will have an unfair fight throughout this entire process. Now, if you guys have any questions on today's video or any of the videos here on the channel, very simple, leave your questions down below in the comment section because of the fact that many of you already know, every Friday I take all the questions you guys have here on YouTube, put them into video format, answer them, and then put that video back on YouTube so that way everyone has detailed answers in video format. As well as if you do enjoy today's video, please leave us a like, it does help the channel. As well as on the screen my contact information. If you guys need help in the process whatsoever, I do Zoom meetings with parents one-on-one to help out with the financial aid or admissions process. Just feel free to text me. That's the easiest way to reach me. That's actually my cell phone number on the screen. Or even just send me an email. Either way, I'll get back to you guys. Other than that, thank you for watching today's video. Once again, my name is Ed from Principia Prep.